Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to West Valley Center for Spiritual Living. Good morning, everybody online. We want to welcome you here to our beautiful center in this beautiful weather here in Phoenix, Arizona. And I hope everybody had a wonderful, joy-filled, full-belly Thanksgiving. So I just want to start off of giving thanks for Norman. Norman is our sound person, and you guys have no idea. Every Sunday he walks in the door, and I'm like, oh my God, you got to do this for us. And he seems to pull it together and not worry about it. And I'm the one that's running around him like, oh, Chihuahua, running around in circles. But he seems to be able to absorb my energy and channel it in the right way. So that's exactly what we need to do. So anyway, so welcome. Again, I wish everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I'll share with you guys that I usually go to my sister's house, but could not travel, and I chose to stay home. And I actually cooked the complete Thanksgiving meal all by myself. And yeah, it turned out fantastic. And I'm a really good cook, just so you know. So, yeah. So anyways, we're really excited. People online, we have some new faces. It's really wonderful every Sunday that we're getting people rotating through here and seeing new people we haven't seen in a while. And it just warms up our heart to see all these beautiful people. So thank you so much for coming in. Thank you much for tuning in online. So we are just so grateful. So we're going to start off with start off with the service going into our meditation. We have changed our service format a little bit. And so this is the time where we're actually going to go into our meditations. Just sit back, allow yourself to relax, get comfortable, and open up your hearts and minds for Reverend Karen's beautiful message.
I will make a quiet place within my heart, and I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord. I will make a quiet place within my mind, and I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still and know I will make a quiet place place within my life, and I will wait upon the Lord. Wait upon the Lord. I will make a quiet place within my heart, and I will wait upon the Lord. Wait upon the Lord. I will make a quiet place within my mind, and I will wait upon the Lord. Wait upon the Lord.
And here in this quiet place, the place of the divine, the place where the divine lives and moves and has its being in, through, and as us. For I know there is indeed one mind, one heart, one soul, one spirit that lives and moves and has its being in all of us. It is pure peace and joy, wisdom and clarity, abundance, health, compassion, kindness, and so very, very much more. I know that that incredible spirit is the spirit that lives and moves and has its being in me, in everyone, everywhere. And I know that this service is a perfect idea in the mind of God. Therefore, it must also be a perfect manifestation. I know that Reverend Karen is wide open to the guidance and wisdom of the divine as she provides a message for us that lifts us and lightens us. That Reverend Clyde exudes his welcome and joy, that the musicians lift our hearts, that every person who is here that we see again for the first time in a long time, that everyone online, that there is just a connection that is unbreakable no matter what. And so in that place of connection, of joy and happiness, I release this beautiful service out into the law, knowing that indeed the universe must say yes. And so it is. My reading today is once again from In the Flow of Life by Eric Butterworth. It's from the chapter called The Effusion of Light. Humankind has instinctively sensed a dimension of life in which there flows, like an underground stream, a directive force that is forever correspondent with every conscious need. Emerson talks like this: there is a guidance for each of us, and by lowly listening, we shall hear the right word. Why need you choose so painfully? Certainly there is a possible right for you that precludes the need of willful election. For you, there is a reality, a fit place. Place yourself in the middle of the stream of power and wisdom, which animates all who float in it, and you are, without effort, impelled to truth, to right, and to perfect contentment. So take a moment and just allow yourself to feel that expression, that flow, to the perfect right place of peace and contentment. And so it is.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Craig Haley. I'm here with my musical partner, John Peterson. And we're thrilled to be doing live music at a church.
Amen.
Hallelujah to that one, that's for sure. So I thought that it would be fun to do something slightly upbeat.
Yay.
How's that?
Yeah, we like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So get involved. No volume? There we go. That's why you love live music.
That's right.
It took a while for me to find this fine philosophy. Gonna try to sing about what it means to me. 10 will get you, 20 you can write this song too. I'm on a lifelong journey to write the Science of Mind blues. Gotta write those blues. Been a Catholic and a Baptist, a charismatic Christian too. I searched over and over to find the words that are true. But one day new thought came knocking at my door, and I was slapped into consciousness by a spiritual 2x4. Yeah, I gotta learn the lesson, 'cause I think it's cool. And I've just got to learn how to write those Science of Mind blues. Congregation to indulge this parody, but I must take the opportunity to poke fun at you and me. Our prayers include all others, we affirm our words are true. I should be writing joyful noise, but I gotta sing the blues, and so I treat, and move my feet. Well, I treat, and move my feet. Well, I treat, and move my feet. Reverend Karen, she knows how to. Oh, it's a long way from being over. Found Ernest Holmes led you to what you are hearing here. That divine scientist held up a spiritual mirror, inviting each and all of us to stop and take a peek, to help determine how to live the life we seek. We manifest it. Yeah, we pray and manifest it. You know we claim our divine wholeness with the one. Affirm our prosperity. We don't judge right or wrong. We don't proselytize or criticize or spend time counting sins. We analyze, philosophize. When we're done, we do it again. And we treat, and move our feet. Yeah, we treat, and move our feet. Yeah, we treat, and move our feet. Yeah, we learn how to treat. Not over yet, I know you were hoping. I'd like to thank you one and all for your patient company. I appreciate your participation and I thank you abundantly. And while I must admit, you know, this has been fun, I'm no closer to writing the blues than I was back on verse 1. I'm no closer. I wonder why. Tried to write a blues song, I persevered with all my might, but there's no way to write the blues when you're standing in the light. So I open up my mind and ask for spiritual direction. I might not know the answer, but by God I know how to ask the question. I treat, and move my feet. Well, I treat, and move my feet. Yeah, I treat, and move my feet. Reverend Karen, she knows how to treat. The lesson, I've used all those tools. You know there's just no reason to write those Science of Mind blues. So if you've been slain in the spirit and you talk in tongues too, check out those core concepts in that triune too. Just one more thing before my mind starts to roam. Be he ever so earnest, There's no one like Thank you.
What fun.
Thank you, Craig and John. That was wonderful. And even a little funny. All right, so now is the time to be talking about our wonderful pledge program that we're doing this year. Our Seeding the Future Pledge program theme this year is Letting Life Expand. Life is definitely expanding in a new way around the holidays. I hope that you took a couple of minutes to give thanks for all the blessings this year. As we move into the Christmas season, how are you letting life expand through you? I love the holidays because first we give thanks, then we give gifts, and then we end in celebration of the upcoming year. The holidays look different for each person and family. We all have our own traditions, and each way that we celebrate the holidays is that perfect expression. As we go through these changing times, what are some new traditions that we can express? How are you letting the holiday season expand in your life? We are here to give our gifts and our talents. Life can only expand and express through us. One of the best gifts that you can give is love. Be that loving presence. The world needs a lot of love right now. Each one of us can make a difference in our family, in our community, and in our life. We had to close the doors for a while to ensure that everyone was safe. Reverend Karen has been keeping her finger on the pulse as we move through these changing times. The one question she keeps asking herself is, how do I lead our community through 2020? And I am personally proud and grateful that she is our spiritual leader of our community.
Amen.
I want to recognize another one of our board members, Kathy Rose. She is our newest board member, and she brings an abundance consciousness to our board. From the first board meeting, she stepped up and gave her gifts and talents. And I can't leave out Phil from the picture because he's part of the package.
Thank you, Phil.
Kathy Rose decided it was time to refresh Pankey Hall, and she didn't stop there. Kathy Rose and Phil and a few other people, they emptied the closets. They did a deep cleaning in the bookstore. They tiled the entryway by the bathrooms. They cleaned the utility closets. They installed a new refrigerator, and they put in an ice maker. And did I say she painted Pankey Hall?
Painted Pappy Hall.
She painted Pappy Hall, and I cannot tell you how beautiful it is. It's 2 shades of blue, so when you can come in and see this beautiful space, it is just incredible. And I really look forward to when we can have a big celebration in that new wonderful space. So Kathy Rose gave of her gifts and talents, knowing that she is loved and supported, and so she freely gives. The law of circulation is always working, and Kathy Rose's abundance consciousness allows her to let life expand here at the center. Each one of us can make a difference in our family, our community, and the world. I am proud to be on our board. The love and commitment our board has given this community is demonstrated in all the improvements and accomplishments that we've created over this last year. Our center is a lighthouse of hope and loving support for the West Valley. Our Seeding the Future Pledge program is about letting life expand through our spiritual home. Your commitment allows West Valley Center to continue to shine bright and be the refuge for those spiritual travelers through this journey called life. Our goal this year is to collect 50 pledge cards and a cash goal of $80,000 or more. The pledge campaign is a yearly program that we ask you to commit your financial support for our community. We only formally ask for money in the form of giving intentions once a year. There are 3 reasons why we ask for this intention commitment. 1, your pledge helps us finalize the budget, and we are good stewards of your gifts. Number 2, your financial support ensures that the continuance of our center so we can uplift souls and transform lives. And then number 3, it's one of our spiritual practices, giving of our gifts and talents. By completing the pledge card, you are giving your commitment to your spiritual practice and faith in the law of circulation. So a couple of additional other points about the campaign. So the Seeding the Future Pledge program is 4 weeks, and we are currently in our 3rd week. Each week, we're focusing on a member in the community who is letting life expand regardless of the conditions. Reverend Karen will continue to inspire us with her Sunday message. And we ask everyone to join us in prayer, knowing the success of this program and the vitality of our community. And finally, you can mail in your pledge card. You can drop off your pledge card in one of our tithing boxes, or we also created an online pledge card that you can go to our website, actually fill out the pledge card on our website, and hit the send button, and we will receive your commitment card. We are grateful for all the love and support of our community. Our community and our beautiful center is a reflection of our abundance consciousness. I want to end with a quote from Wayne Dyer. I love the way that he clarifies an abundant life. Abundance is not something that we acquire. It is something that we tune into. Thank you.
Is that your, thank you very much. Good morning. Good morning, good morning. Welcome. It's so interesting to be so happy about so few people sitting in the sanctuary. Such an interesting twist. So welcome, I'm Reverend Karen, and this is the West Valley Center for Spiritual Living, and we are about halfway through the stewardship program, Seeding Our Future for 2021, and I have never felt such an urgency in the commitment, the love that we bring to the program, and that it's the urgency is that how much we are needed in the world right now. Never before have I had such a sense of validation about this choice as a way to serve in this beautiful world. And so I just want to thank Reverend Clyde so much for handling all the business of the stewardship program. And I am here to talk to you today. I have a really fun message for us. It's one of those days where I went, wow, I think we're going to have a good time in this sanctuary. And I'm hoping and knowing that all of you at home who are watching us remotely are having a good time too. Only difference is they're not wearing high heels. They're probably sipping their coffee and having a good time. But here we are. We have found a new way to be together and to understand that idea of one mind. And we're doing it in this vast, great, big way. So I'm really happy to have you here today. And before I go any further, this could only be better if it would have happened last week, where I spoke about our archives, the history of this center, and the soul of this community from its inception, because we have a very distinguished guest in the audience today. May I just love on you a little bit? Reverend Dr. Ruth Deaton is sitting there with her sister Betty, and I'm just going to say Ruth. Dr. Ruth is not only visiting from the state of Florida right now, but she is one of the ministers in the line of ministers that have served in this community. Would you stand, Ruth, so that we can appreciate you for just a moment? Thank you. Just not only a beautiful soul, but a woman who you have done a few things I will never do. Though we share this in common, but she's actually served our organization. And weren't you the president of the United Side for a period of time? I mean, it is a really, and you were here when the Turapapki was here. Is that right?
Part of that time.
Part of that time. And I'm just so happy to see you, and thank you for.
Wonderful to be here.
It must be really incredible. By the way, when I was going through the archives, I have now earned the honor of being the minister who has led a community for the longest time since the inception of the community. So, isn't that fun? Here's my goal. I had no idea it'd be so easy. So the title of my message this morning is True Guidance. And so we've been talking about seeding the future of our community, anchoring the message in the West Valley so that we can create that space where people can show up. And now we are so much more expansive because we have let, we fought it a little bit in March, but we have let God expand us through this gorgeous source of media. We have a wonderful, dedicated production manager. Miss Juliana is sitting behind the camera yet again. Thank you, Julie, for your service. And what I know is, and what I want to talk to you about this morning is that way in which there is something about us, something about the way we are created, where we have this divine intuition, this indwelling presence of God that shows up as the wisdom that can guide us through everything, from the small to the massive, or what feels big, because in God there's no big or little. And it's already ingrained in us, and something in us also kind of knows that, and I believe the spiritual path is about revealing that, like really becoming aware and making that presence a part of how we move, we live and move and have our being in spirit itself. So there is a way that life shows us. Dr. Holmes used to speak, he actually used the term that emergent evolution. It just feels so timely to think of those two words put together right now, because something is emerging on this planet that hasn't been here yet. And it can only do that through us. But there's something in that natural, expansive nature of life itself that demands growth and change, and sometimes that we adapt to what's going on in the circumstances of our life, or in this case, the world. And I think often when I'm thinking of all of that, I'm thinking about that gorgeous way Dr. Holmes spoke about the ongoing nature of life, that nature will not let you stay in any one place for too long in order for the advancement of our soul. And that's why that comforts me, because that tells me, even though I was younger when I came here, that the change, the natural process of aging is a part of the way we take on wisdom. And if you live your life well, it could show up in your body, right? But that we're not attached to it, because we know at some point we shed this. There's a shedding process. And that life then reveals an even greater advancement for the purpose of the growth of our own souls. I love the way Holmes put such a personal twist on all of it. So we are always guided. We are always aware that something is growing. We're always changing. We can see it and sort of measure it. We measure it well when we notice our grandkids that we haven't seen in a while, right? It's always the children or children. But we can really see that difference. But what's relevant this morning is that I like to think of it as something that is like wooing us, calling us forward. And because of the times that we're living in, that is a little easier for some of us to recognize. But you have to look for it. You have to be open to that idea of being guided, and that there is that spiritual guidance always wooing us. In 1972, a gentleman named James Lovelock, a British scientist, he was also an environmentalist. In 1972, the work of this brilliant man, he proposed something he called the Gaia hypothesis. So 1972, think about it. So we're looking at the beginning of Earth Day, and the reason there was an interest now, a sudden new interest in the environment, the world as a whole, was because we'd had those photos taken from space. And then suddenly we see these actual photographs of this beautiful blue pearl spinning through space, we sometimes like to say. And so James Lovelock had this idea. His theory stated that the physical Earth, the physicality of the Earth, is part of a living biosphere, something much bigger. Now, he didn't create the word biosphere, but it hadn't been around that long. In fact, Teilhard de Chardin used that term and is sometimes attributed to being the first to popularize the term. But a biosphere is a place where earth and land and water interact. They come together and they interact with each other as a single organism. All the parts work together in this union. So we know that the earth is a part of something greater. We know that the earth sits, in this great universe, and we can't even imagine beyond that. That's pretty big to imagine already. But what we see is that in a biosphere, that relationship of all the parts, things work together to buffer and to balance and to regulate and influence, in this case, the planet, in order for the planet to be able to sustain life, including human life. So in other words, there's some intelligence, of which we are part of, that is perpetually working to stabilize everything. We know that about nature, anything gets out of order in nature, she rectifies that. She compensates to bring restore a new balance. And so there's that way that we look at the interconnection of the heavens and the earth, and we as human beings are that meeting place of the vertical and the horizontal. And then that brings us to be able to look at this in a vernacular that we're all comfortable with. In spiritual languaging, what we know is that intelligence is God. But the beauty of understanding it in the physicality of it and the relationships of each thing to the next thing is that it gives us that freedom to see that God is not an entity, that God is that wisdom, that intelligence, that order, all of those things that sustain life. So in a more personal way, a way that you can personalize and hear it a little bit better, this is something that always grounds me quickly to understand it, and that's the human body. In the human body, there's all these parts, these moving parts that have to work together for our highest and best interest in moving through our own little experiences in life. And what we know is that there's some intelligence that is balancing and regulating, right? We have a lot of organs and things that have to work together. And the bottom line is this. I read this week. This really makes me gasp a little bit. 50 trillion cells in our body. 50 trillion cells in our body have learned to work together for our best good. That's a lot of intelligence. Think of that as the true guidance that we're trying to understand and apply in our own lives. So the body just does that. The body knows how to do that. That's pretty impressive. And yet, there's this other piece that then comes in. Somebody quoted Deepak Chopra this morning. It must have been Clyde. There's this piece of it. That now, here we are as an individualized expression of life, unique and different from each other, with this gift of free will that we get to make our own choices about how we work in terms of keeping this body balanced and poised and regulated and functioning at the highest possible level. So sometimes I notice I do really good at making good choices for this. And other times I don't. And so what I want to do is I want to aim to be conscious. I want to be attentive. I don't want to be too obsessive over it. But I want to find a way to be kind to my physical being. And I think a really good example, many of us have just experienced because of Thanksgiving dinner. You know, we cook these delicious meals, and especially if you're the chef, if you're the one in the kitchen cooking, and you do a little tasting here and there, and then you can overeat. You know, I can honestly remember a few Thanksgivings in my past where I was really welcoming a good walk after dinner because I just didn't know when to stop, right? So there's a really good illustration of how, without meaning to, and maybe even in the spirit of enjoying each other's company or just the once a year really great meal, that we don't listen, we don't follow that guidance, and then what do you get? Maybe you get a little indigestion, you know, maybe you get a little tummy ache or something, or just that uncomfortable feeling. So when we are conscious about how we show up in life, we make different decisions than we do when we're unconscious. And so we have this gorgeous teaching, this spiritual philosophy, the science of mind, that reminds us, you know, again and again, it's the beauty of being able to have a Sunday service even when we're not officially able to fill the sanctuary, but that we can have this opportunity to record a message so we can go back and look at it at any time in our, you know, that's convenient for us, and be encouraged. And remember, come back to truth. Clear our minds again, become conscious again. Because when I'm conscious, I am clear. When I have been loyal to my devotions, my morning spiritual practice, then I'm not as distracted by what's going on in the world. I am a little more stable in the way I can show up in my own life. And so the same is true, as that's true for me, it's also true for you. And never before have I felt the deep urgency to sort of nag you, to be preachy, to actually be preachy. You know, I want you to have a very specific spiritual practice, and it's for all the reasons I say every week. So moving on, I think it's about being thoughtful. And by being thoughtful, I'm actually speaking to the idea of being selective in what thoughts you will choose to let rumble around in your mind. So that's a part of being intentional and thoughtful and all of that. You know, I have 4 children who all have children, and but I remember so well, it was such an important part of my early adulthood, I guess. I remember being pregnant changed me. Not just changed me, but changed me. That I was really aware that I wasn't in this alone anymore. Right? So I have a husband, and we were having a child, but I was responsible for taking good care of myself so that I could nurture and grow a nice, healthy baby. And so in that time period, it was really easy for me to take good care of my body. I sometimes think back about how meticulous I was in everything I ate and creating an environment that was comfortable and peaceful in my home, and communicating with my medical professional about the things that were important to me in terms of the birth, educating myself. Those things were easy. None of that had any essence of sacrifice. Right? So there's a thread of something in there. As I was pondering all this and writing this material, I was thinking, you know, when we see the bigger picture, we realize that we're not alone on this planet or in our neighborhood. That our choices in pregnancy, you know, I was really aware my choices were impacting my infant. But it's such a good illustration of life, that we are a part of this big biosphere, or we are part of an ecosystem. We're part of a spiritual community here, and that's why we're talking about this all month. And that there's a way that when we think of other people, that we're kinder and we're more generous when we're not just self-centered, right? But I do believe there's a piece of that starts with being generous and kind to yourself. Because if you're not generous and kind to yourself, you will not be authentic in the way that you show up in your relationships with other people. So again, our spiritual practice takes us back to that fertile, sort of gestational way that spiritual practice prepares us to meet the world on a daily basis. Even if you never leave your house, it makes a change in the vibrational frequency that we put in the world and the way that we experience our own life personally. So pregnancy is, this has really tickled me, Clyde. You should laugh when I say this. It'll make me happy. Pregnancy is a great metaphor for letting life expand. Oh, because that is something you cannot, once you're there, once you're in it, you've got to do the whole thing. From my favorite chapter in the Science of Mind textbook, anybody want to remember? Successful Living. Dr. Holmes wrote this: our part is to be ready and willing to be guided into truth and liberty at all times. Our job is to create that space, that consciousness of readiness, to be willing to be guided into truth and liberty. That's freedom. Holmes also said on occasion, he would say that the Science of Mind is a liberation theology. Almost needed Ruth to help me out there. And so he referred to it as a liberation theology. So always we're looking at that idea of freedom in living your life in such a way that you are not limited, right? We're letting life expand. So he says our part is to be ready and willing, and then if it is necessary to make a change in your mode of living, you will know. You will know if it is necessary. If you're prayed up, you're spiritually grounded, and you have an idea of the direction you desire your life to go in, when you get out of alignment, you will know. And then he ends with this perfect sentence: the law will point the way, and we will follow. Did you hear that? Amen? Was that Reverend Cheryl from home? So the illustration of pregnancy is such a good example for us to begin to understand that interconnectedness. Even in the way there's a separate human involved, there's that beautiful connection. We have this interior guidance system that's always activated. We just don't always pay attention. And something right now is emerging on this planet, something with great potential. And I think that we are absolutely pregnant with possibility. I'm talking about the consciousness of humanity. We are pregnant with this pure potential for what we're moving into next. And I love that people seem to be waking up, and that a lot of the unrest that we're seeing in the news and maybe feeling in our hearts as we're growing in our compassion for each other, I believe it's such a beautiful illustration of what happens in life, because sometimes we do bump into each other. And I am not the first person to, though it is a part of my personal mission statement because I'm an old midwife, but the whole idea of that, the humanity being pregnant with possibility is something that Jean Houston used to always speak of when we would go to conference. She would be a frequent keynote speaker. And she always had that way of saying, we're in labor. We've been pregnant for a while and now we're in labor, and I would say that, man, I am hearing that as a metaphor more and more frequently. So we are being influenced by environmental factors. Think about that. Is that not true? We've been told we have to stay home, we have to wear masks, and we don't gather, and all of that stuff. So we have been influenced And in that different way we've been living our lives, I really believe more and more people are waking up. So the true guidance is the very thing that we thought we feared, but it has brought us to this threshold of change. And then in that change, holy newness is born again. Born anew. This is a very old story. This is not a new story. Moses led the Israelites through the wilderness, pulled them from slavery, and for 40 years they wandered. They're promised the land of milk and honey, and they get to the edge of Canaan, this city they're about to explore. Moses has something weighing on him. He thinks this could be it. This is the promised land. But before he leads all the people in, he sends people ahead. He sends spies. Some of the Bible translations call them spies. Moses sends in spies to go and mingle with the people of the city and figure out, is this the city that we have been told that we're to now settle in? And so the spies go in and they mingle, they split up and they go their own ways, and some of them come back and they stand before Moses and the people, a crowd of people that are waiting for the spies to return. And the first of the spies said, "It's wonderful. This is it. We're supposed to be here. The land of the milk and the honey flowing. It is as the Lord said it would be." But there are other spies, the ones that come later, and they come and they say, "Wait, hold on. This is not the place where we are supposed to be. There are giants in there. The people are frightening. They are so big, they will make us look like grasshoppers. This is not it." And so the people choose to listen to the negative message. They take the negative report and they listen to the message about the giants instead of believing the reports about the flowing milk and honey. They are willing to even endure additional years in the wilderness rather than start a new beginning and settle down. Rather than letting their lives expand in a new way. I think that what I wanted to say this morning is that, yes, we are living in challenging times, and the world is definitely changing. And more than ever, we want to open ourselves to that true guidance. But we want to also make sure that we do not negate the good that is right in front of us. See, the guidance never goes away, but the guidance is only as good as our ability to pay attention and not be distracted. And so we want to let life expand. And I think what that means, I thought long and hard about this. I think that we want to begin a new spiritual practice. I've been thinking about this. I have a new idea for a new spiritual practice. And it's called emergent seeing. To change our vision in such a way that we begin to joyously anticipate the newness that is emerging on the planet at this time, and that we open ourselves in such a way that we can see it. Now, if you remember, those of you who are members of this community, back in January, we began a year-long theme of seeing. It was something about vision. I don't remember because we didn't get to use it. But What I see today. I put a big I on the front of the program. Do you remember that? I put a big eye on it. Some people were creeped out by that eye, and I said, you're going to get used to it because it's a powerful message. Because at the bottom, there's a quote from Ernest Holmes, and Ernest said, we must learn to see the way that God sees, perfect and whole and complete. We must learn to see in a new way. So I want us to begin having a new spiritual practice called emergent seeing. We have been living in urgency times, and we have been through lots of emergencies, and now we're changing that to emergent seeing. Clever, yeah?
Yeah.
I know. It comes from Swami Vivekananda. I didn't think it up. But he's funny. And it's just so timely, because I do believe, way back in January, there was something wooing this community, inviting us to see in a new way. And we have done such a good job. I'm immensely proud of us. And by the way, thank you for being so dedicated to getting the cards returned. We've just finished our second full week of the campaign, and we have half your cards back, and we're about to halfway to the financial dollar that our goal is. And that's actually pretty typical for where we are on a year that we would call normal. We used to call normal, not anymore. And so I'm very confident that our budget will be secure, but we need you. We really need you to make sure you fill out your cards and get it back. Or, I love you. Thank you, Ed, so much for talking Joe into getting the website, fixing it up so we could do that online. We've never had that opportunity, and we also have never needed it more than we need now. So we're doing a good job of seeing in a new way, of showing up on Sunday in a new way, of living our personal lives in a new way. And what we know is that there will be more change in front of us. We don't know what that is, but let's face it, we don't know what's going to happen on Tuesday. We do what we're called to do. And so I wanted to close this morning with a quote from Dr. Holmes, from my favorite book of the year, A New Design for Living. What a brilliant, brilliant read for a pandemic season of spiritual growth. And this quote comes from the same page where I found the term, let life expand. It comes a little bit before that. And here's what Dr. Holmes said. Life is ever ready and willing to become to us what we think it is. It will be a lot or a little. It will be rich or poor. It will be happy or sad, abundant or scanty, but we do the choosing and we live with our choice. The choosing is done by what we think and by the way we think. Not just sometimes, but all the time. So, always remember that regardless of the way we may have chosen in the past, we are free today to choose anew. Take a deep breath. Some powerful words this morning. I'd like to anchor some of those ideas in the words of prayer. So if you would just get comfortable where you are seated, I want to invite you to turn within. Just take a precious moment to recognize the indwelling presence of the divine. And I feel the love of God. I feel it deep at the core of my being. And I know that that love is the activity of life within me. And as this is true for me, it is true for every individual in this room, every ear that listens on an electronic device. It is true of every living thing that right where we are, God is. And so we just breathe that truth in, and we allow it to resonate and move. And suddenly there's a quickening at the center. And we feel that as a spark, as the divine light. That way in which we know that right in this moment there is only one mind. It is the mind of God, and that mind is my mind, and that mind is your mind. We are perfectly grounded and aligned and aware of that true guidance. And so at this time of change in the world, we remain anchored to principle. For spiritual truth is solid, it is balanced and grounded, and it never changes. And so all the movement and the chaos and the conditions and the things that we witness or see, we now allow ourselves to expand. We allow our vision to expand in such a way that we begin to recognize life as holy. We can see the divinity of life. We understand that 50 trillion cells in our body know how to interact. And that in the way that is a divine genetic plan, that same essence of divinity is present in all of our relationships, in all of our encounters as we move through our daily activities. We know that it is an energetic that moves through this planet in such a way that this biosphere that is interacting is always sustaining life by balancing, by divinely influencing, by regulating in spiritual principle all of the things that keep life in perfect order. And so we trust that system of life. We can rest with confidence and with full conviction that it is the Father's good pleasure to give. And so in this moment, we just open ourselves willingly. We open ourselves to be vessels to receive that which the divine offers. We allow ourselves to be filled with the grace of God as it pours and streams into our lives, into our consciousness, into the lives of our loved ones, and therefore there is a healing going on in this planet. There is a healing in our relationships. We open ourselves to the beauty and the love of forgiveness, the interactions that are divinely blessed by this grace of God, and we are grateful. I feel that gratitude within me as that great stirring, that great way which we are indeed quickened, aware again of the presence of God right where we are. And I feel that gratitude deep in my soul, deep in my heart. And I express these words of thankfulness on this tail end of a week of gratitude, and right in the heart of our stewardship program, knowing that we indeed open ourselves to receive the blessings and the divine guidance, the true guidance for the future of this community. So I say thank you, God. Thank you, life. Thank you, Infinite Spirit. And I release these words into the law, knowing that they are already done. And together we joyously say, and so it is. Amen. Amen.
Thankful for the love that comes my way, and I'm thankful, well, for each and every day. When I get up in the morning, see the light that shines my way. You see, I'm thankful for God's glorious display. And I'm grateful for God's blessings that I see. Yeah, I'm grateful that rainbow's guaranteed. When I go outside and see the sun, what a glorious day, you know, and it's just begun. I'm thankful that we are all one. Life's perfection is surrounding me. Just look around you, it's all you see. Such a wonder that life unfolds, opens up my heart, God's presence it upholds. You know I'm grateful for the love that I see. I'm so grateful for God's rainbow guarantee. And when I get up in the morning, see the light that shines my way, you know I'm grateful for this glorious display. You know I'm grateful for this wondrous day.
Thank you, Craig and John. We are so glad that you're back here in our community. And that was a beautiful song, and I'm thankful for this day for sure. So now is the time for our giving affirmation, and so we're doing it again a little differently. So if you're online, you can actually click the button online. We have a website that can receive your tithe through the website. We are not passing out the offering plate. We have drop boxes right outside both the door and also in the bookstore area for your tithe. If you can just drop it in that box, that would be great. But we will say our giving affirmation together. So if you can just repeat with me our giving affirmation, and just put your hand on your heart and know this truth for our community and for each one of us. I live in consciousness of good. Divine love blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God. And so it is.
All right, so, I'm reading this fabulous book on how to lead through liminal times. We're living in a liminal time. It's like a waiting zone. And one of the things is there's a lot of experimentation. So this is a big experiment. You're part of it. I'd ask you to stand. We're going to close today with song and benediction. So just listen to the words of it.
Living this thing called life.
Nice. This is Eddie Watkins.
Am I wise enough to make the right?
A little louder, Norman, please. You know Eddie Watkins.
Sometimes I wonder and ponder, only to realize I'm not alone, and there's nothing I have to do on my own, because I am the place where God is, moves and breathes and has his being. I am the place where God shows up.
God shows up.
I am the place where God is, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. Will I have enough to do the things I need to do to take care of myself? Will I have the help of mind and body to live a life of grace and holiness? Sometimes I wonder and ponder, only to realize I'm not alone, and there's nothing I have to do on my own, because I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place. You are the place. We are the place where God shows up. I am the place.
So as we prepare to leave this morning, we simply know that we are indeed the place where God shows up. This is a place in the west side of Phoenix in which God shows up. We are the community through which we allow Spirit to speak through us, to show up on this planet as the divine substance that everything is so ready for. And so we use our lives in this sweet and dedicated way to be the place where God shows up. And so it is. Amen. 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 Thank you for being here today. I love you. Have a blessed week.